Now, this is an example of how we do it. We have actually broken down our service processes at HPPI, broken them down and expressed them into algorithms so that every phone call or every call for requesting approval for utilization is actually standardized and is done in a very predictable and consistent manner, hoping that this would actually communicate a certain degree of quality in the way we provide our service. Now, third would be to monitor customer satisfaction. And this is done, of course, in a variety of venues through direct feedback from client and client organizations, indirect feedback in the form of written correspondence or phone calls. But we rely heavily on monthly client relation calls, especially if there are concerns, more often if need be. These are done on both organizational planes and individual members. What we have implemented quite recently to be able to complement this kind of feedback mechanism with our customers is to actually come up with a client call summary. This is a one-page document with bulleted points and action plans, not only for the consumption of our organization, but also for the consumption of our customers and client organizations. We are hoping through this that it will be made very clear and documented that their concerns have actually been heard, and these are the action plans that we intend to perform to be able to address your concerns. In addition to this, we actually come up or try to implement performance indicators, an example of which is the time that it takes from reception of phone call to the amount of time that it actually needs to assess and address phone-in concerns from our clients. The last characteristic of services that I'd like to point out would be perishability. You might think that perishability is more akin to the production industries, wherein a product is produced, put on the shelf, and put in inventory. And because it is put on the shelf, then you have this term that you call shelf life. In the service industry, there is also such a thing, wherein a doctor might actually think that he would be making better use of his time practicing at one institution compared to the next. This becomes very important in the HMO industry simply because you offer HMO rates which are unfortunately a little lower than the standard rates. But these lower rates are given with the promise that volume is going to be given to these particular professionals. And it is this perishability that we want to be able to address by making provider relations calls either to the coordinators or provider institutions, that we are going to be intending to keep that promise of providing that volume in exchange for the lower price that they actually agree to work with us. So as a whole, because of these marketing service characteristics, marketing principles, of course, will have to address the 3 C's as was mentioned in your class, I bet. The company should have to have the ability to project an image which assures reliability, consistency, and more importantly, quality in the manner by which this service is provided. And of course, the organizations have to be able to be cognizant of the implications of other players in the competition in the market, perhaps by using something like a Porter's analysis. Now, having these principles, what is the forefront of applying these marketing principles? So, service industries are very interactive. As I've said, it is a very complex human interaction. And where does the area for which most of these marketing principles in the backstage, just like in this iceberg. And that line of visibility is that interface wherein the backroom efficiencies actually translate to interface with your clients. Now, making it a little more technical, this going further back into the back room. An example of this would be high-quality restaurants which actually have a lot of pride in the way they prepare their food. Most restaurants would have a closed kitchen, and you really wouldn't know what goes on in the kitchen. But some restaurants which actually pride themselves in the way they prepare their food offer service with an open kitchen. So this line of visibility has actually moved back more into the back room for transparency, so that more chances for these institutions to communicate the quality of their service would be afforded them. So this is a diagram that was used by one of my professors when I was still doing my business training, and he actually broke down into 8 specific steps. I would rather name the 3 points of the marketing cycle as the pre-experience, the experience of the service itself, and the post-experience. And if everything is well and good, hopefully, in the post-experience part of the marketing cycle, we will get to renew our annual contracts by grouping our prospective clients into logical groups, perhaps into a particular industry into which they are engaged, or perhaps the kind of revenues that we are expecting from a particular client. Now, after defining these segments, we choose just one, maybe 1 or 2, with which to target our efforts, and this is called targeting. So that whatever marketing efforts and whatever resources from the company are given to these target clients, they will probably be most efficient and their productivity will be guaranteed. If we are successful in both, we hope to be able to position the organization in the minds of our clients. Now, by positioning, as was mentioned earlier, you want to have a certain consciousness in the minds of your clients in as far as the competition is concerned. Some organizations may go for price leadership. Some organizations might go for value-added service, or some might just go for a reputation, a built reputation. So the second part of the marketing cycle would be the actual encounter, the actual handoff or the provision of the service. Of course, you will be using a healthy marketing mix and choosing your marketing channels, meaning to say the fora wherein you do your marketing activities. But for HMOs, it is actually very important that your service channels or your provider network or the hospitals and clinics that you actually work with are reliable, available, and convenient. If you do not have these 3 factors, no matter how many thousands of hospitals and clinics that you have, they will not have any meaning as far as your clients are concerned. And again, at the 3rd part of the cycle, hopefully you did a good job in the first 2, and hopefully translate your existing clients into renewed clients. This is basically customer care, making sure that they have a good experience with you, and essentially making them want to buy again from you. From you, sana, not other companies. So marketing mix, as was mentioned, again, just to make it short, it's a simple matter of providing the right product or service at the right place at the right time. Hopefully located at the right place, given in a timely manner and a manner is convenient. But I'd like to think, as far as marketing is concerned, the 4th item, which is promotion. The key here is to make sure that you make the first 3 known to the right players, probably accommodating. Unfortunately, our being accommodating goes overboard, and when complaints and requests come in order to be polite, our frontliners we've found actually just say yes and try to accommodate, to appease our clients. But I think this has to be made a policy with more realistic terms, so that we do not set ourselves up for failure and actually do give a realistic promise of what we can give for what we promise. So Hiyang Filipino has its good attributes, but of course we really would want to curb it to more realistic levels. If you have a customer who is satisfied, probably the customer will say good things about you to 2 or 3 more other people. But the dissatisfied customer will definitely tell 10, maybe more people. But if you flip that coin and probably change the mind of this dissatisfied customer, then you would have 10 or 15 people being told that there was a problem and you were able to address it for him. And I guess nothing will speak louder of your quality and commitment to service than that.